This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
First at 11, Marion County is under a curfew until 6 o'clock tomorrow morning in response to damage and unrest during protests over the weekend. That curfew started at 9 o'clock tonight, but many demonstrators defied it to continue spreading their message. WRTV's Cameron Riddle has been there all day with protesters. He joins us live from downtown. Cameron, what do you see?
Amanda, good evening. It is quiet as we come to you live tonight from University Park, a different location where the protests ended once again peacefully here in downtown Indianapolis. But if you take a look off from a distance, you can still see that there is a presence of Indianapolis Metropolitan Police who are on just about every corner throughout downtown, keeping the city on a close monitor as we have been under curfew since 9 o'clock. As you mentioned, that was not enough to send protesters home. There was a large showing of people who showed up to Monument Circle again today, and they protested peacefully, marching through the streets over to the Capitol, over to the City County building, and back. And that's when one of the organizers who we've heard a couple times from, Matt Davis, asked everyone, all right, once again, let's go home peacefully, and then let's come back tomorrow. But as the sun went down and that curfew kicked into effect, there were a number of people who wanted to continue to protest, and they went even further, all the way over to Alabama Street, walking back over to West Street, as far away as 10th and West Street, and then back here to University Park. This is a group of protesters who just were not satisfied with anything that they saw today, let alone the embracing, the hugging, and the walking shoulder to shoulder that they saw from police. They say so much more needs to be done, and there's no kumbaya with police that's going to solve all of our problems.
Look at this. The protesters are out lollygagging, and we still ain't got no justice. No justice, no peace means no peace.
So let me ask you this.
This looks real peaceful, if you ask me.
I got something to say.
Everybody looks real calm, cool, and collective, and this man sat there for 9 minutes, and this was a 9-minute speech about nothing.
So let me ask you this. Last night, everybody was hugging and
police officers. You don't fraternize with the enemy. That's rule number one.
Hold on.
That was crazy. You won't see me kissing nobody that killed my brother. No.
All right, and so with that, one of the protesters, that's Cookie there, who obviously had a lot to say. She not happy with the way things going. She's not saying that she necessarily wants to see destruction of things going on downtown, but at that point when we had talked, it was not even 8 o'clock, and the protest leaders were sending people home. To her point and to other people's points who were out here late tonight, they say they have to continue to protest and to continue to get the attention because the unity show that we saw last night is not going to change the world that we will wake up in tomorrow morning. Speaking of which, protesters say they will be back again tomorrow around 4 or 5 to protest for now the 6th day in a row. Reporting live downtown, I'm Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Cameron, thank you for that.
Probably will have over 90,000 ballots returned by the end of this election that were all voters who voted by mail.
Now to a record-setting primary election in the middle of a global pandemic. More people than ever chose to vote by mail in Marion County to avoid in-person voting. Results of Indiana's primary election have been rolling in all night. You can see them at the bottom of the screen there. And while mail-in ballots were successful for Marion County, hundreds of people were still waiting to cast their ballots at some of the 22 locations that were open for in-person voting. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker shows you how the election board plans to address issues before November's general election.
Brianne Delaney, Director of Elections for the Marion County Election Board, always knew there were going to be some challenges with this primary.
In a year of COVID, we have to look at each election separately.
Their decision to only have 22 voting sites led to an 1.5 to 2 hour wait times for some people to vote.
The line was really long. I thought I could just come and it would be in and out.
For the general election, voters can likely expect to have more choices when it comes to polling places.
We know that we're going to have double or triple the turnout in the fall, and so I think that's something we'll take into account.
But with COVID-19 still spreading, it makes it difficult for those in charge of elections to give any exact details on what voting will be like in November. One thing Brianne does want to get across is that ballots sent through the mail are safe.
One of the biggest safety features in Indiana law is you have to do a signature comparison.
That's what all these people are doing. Making sure the signature on voter applications for mail-in ballots matches the voter's actual ballot that is going to be counted.
You have to have a bipartisan team review the ballot signature. It does have a lot of checks and balances behind it.
An election like no other because of COVID-19, perhaps showing us what the future of voting could look like for the majority of Hoosiers.
As always, there were concerns from some people about getting here on time to vote. A guy here who voted at Guyan Creek Middle School says that he actually heard an election official say something that made him think that they were going to be cutting off the line. Of course, we reached out to the Marion County Clerk's office, and they want to be clear. If you get to a polling place for any election before 6, you will get to vote. Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
And that is good to hear. Thank you, Cornelius. The Marion County Clerk's Office says they plan to get through all of the in-person ballots tonight and will resume counting mail-in ballots tomorrow. 2 central Indiana counties, that's Boone and Monroe, will not have results until tomorrow at the earliest. One of the most watched races in central Indiana is to replace Susan Brooks as 5th District Representative. Victoria Spartz has been declared the winner of the Republican primary, as you see there, with 40% of the vote, and she will go up against Christina Hale, winner of the Democratic primary, with, and we are understanding that Christina Hale has 39% of the vote there. So Christina Hale and Victoria Spartz facing off in November. We're also keeping track of referenda for 2 school districts. Let's talk about Washington Township and the operating referendum there. As you can see, it's passing. That operating referendum would help to improve and renovate athletic facilities, expand student learning spaces, replace HVAC and electrical systems, and improve access for those with disabilities and student safety improvements as well. They also have another referendum that was to help boost teacher pay, and by $1.5 million, and we understand that is passing as well. Beech Grove also had 2 referenda going on. As you can see, those passed as well, an operating referenda and one to raise teacher pay as well. The operating referendum will allow them to increase each salary for teachers by $2,000 and support staff salaries by $1,000. The construction would allow the district to build an early childhood center and make upgrades to existing school buildings and high school athletic facilities there. So those passing, a lot of people supporting education in the area. You can find more election results right now at our website, WRTV.com.
Now to the forecast. Temperatures are still in the 70s right now, and more hot days are ahead, but will storms put a damper on our Wednesday? Kevin joins us now.
And Amanda, I think we'll spend most of tomorrow waiting on thunderstorms to arrive. Thunderstorms tonight, a couple hundred miles to the north, crossing Lake Michigan near Milwaukee. That line will sag south by the time we get to the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. But tomorrow morning when you wake up, still in the 70s. 71 at 8 a.m., 82 at noon. We'll push the upper 80s for the afternoon high, with thunderstorm chances increasing, as we mentioned, especially when we get to the evening hours into late tomorrow night. There's a slight risk. Some storms could be severe. Damaging wind and large hail would be the main threats from the strongest storms. We'll talk about what we need to keep our eye on as we go toward the weekend and even into the middle of next week. That's coming up.
Kevin back with us in just a few minutes. Thanks, Kevin. Now to the latest on the toll the COVID-19 pandemic is taking on Hoosier lives. According to the State Department of Health, more than 271,000 people have been tested for the virus in Indiana. 13% have tested positive. 2,022 people have died. 46 newly reported deaths happened between April 9th and yesterday. 945 people have died in long-term care facilities, making up nearly half of all COVID-19 deaths in Indiana. At least 150 facilities in the state have had at least 1 death from the virus. Dara Hendricks worked at Ben-Hur Health and Rehab in Crawfordsville as a front desk receptionist. She quit her job out of concern for her safety. This weekend, she learned she's COVID-19 positive. Dara says that she's not a nurse, but worked in the COVID positive unit taking temperatures. She tells us she witnessed materials and workers going back and forth between the positive unit and other areas of Ben-Hur without sanitizing or changing clothes. When the facility moved her back to the reception area, Dara was surprised that she didn't have to quarantine herself despite working for weeks in the COVID positive area.
I was tickled to death to go back to a little bit of sanity. And the very next day, I got an email saying, "I'm sorry, we don't really need a receptionist right now. We're going to put you into housekeeping." And it would be wiping down all contaminated areas all day long. That's all I would be doing. And I just did not feel comfortable doing that.
The facility's website shows 13 employees have tested positive, 37 confirmed cases among residents, 16 residents have died. The operator, American Senior Communities, told us because of Ben-Hur's COVID positive status, they get regular visits from the Indiana State Department of Health. ASC says the state has not found any deficiencies and that Ben-Hur has implemented infection control procedures. That includes quarantining and grouping residents and staff who are COVID-19 positive, testing 100% of residents and screening them for illness daily, and requiring all staff to wear personal protective equipment at all times and canceling large group activities.
Coming up, an artistic tribute to a prominent community member as friends try to make sense of his death. You're watching WRTV News at 11.
It anchors you. This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
New at 11, the Colts do not know when training camp will be held, but they do know where it will be held, and it's not in Westfield. According to the team today, the National Football League informed clubs that upcoming camps must be held at practice facilities. That means Colts training camp will be held at the Indiana Farm Bureau Football Center in Indianapolis. A start date will be announced later. The decision is based on risk factors related to COVID-19 and protecting the health and safety of players and staff members. The Colts say the organization looks forward to returning to the Grand Park Sports Campus next year. Kevin.
Well, when I think about Colts training camp, you think of heat and humidity. We had the heat today without the humidity. It was 93 in Lafayette. Indianapolis has yet to hit 90 so far this year. Again, we'll wait on thunderstorms tomorrow. The highest probability of rain will be tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. Thunderstorm chances linger Thursday and Friday before we dry out for the weekend. There are your temperatures. Temperatures in the middle to upper 80s, really right on through the weekend. The humidity will drop back down as we go Saturday into Sunday. Let's talk about our rain chances specifically tomorrow. Again, once we move into the evening hours, but before sunset, showers, thunderstorms become likely. That will continue until around this time tomorrow night. Damaging wind and large hail would be the main threats from any of the stronger thunderstorms. There's been a lot of wind reports up in Wisconsin tonight with the cold front that will eventually sag our way. 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, not a lot happening. 3 o'clock, some showers, isolated thunderstorms, Lafayette, Kokomo over to Hartford City. There we are at 5. The line dropping a little more to the south. Notice it's a broken line, not guaranteeing that we'll all see thunderstorms. Of those that develop, a few may be severe. From 7 o'clock, you start to see this come together a little better. Sullivan, Terre Haute to Indianapolis, up to Frankfort, Kokomo. That drops through the metro area between 7 and 9. And by 11, we're calming things down again, and we'll have a quiet night after that. Thursday temperature 85, continuing the chance for thunderstorms at 40%. The same is true on Friday, 40% chance that we'll have some thunderstorms. What changes over the weekend? The humidity will be lower. Temperatures generally lower to middle 80s, and our dry weather will continue into Monday. Cristobal named a tropical storm today in the southern Gulf of Mexico. I'm pointing this out because all indications are it moves toward the Louisiana coast late in the weekend. And we project that out with forecast models, shows it going through Louisiana, Arkansas. This would be the remnant moisture, Missouri, then through the land of Lincoln into the Hoosier State. That in the middle of next week. And that may impact the temperatures a little bit and keep us from getting too warm, assuming we've got more cloud cover and rain around, but otherwise the heat expands next week. Thunderstorms late tomorrow, 87 for the high. It's still that threat for thunderstorms Thursday and Friday. Then we take a break. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Lots of sunshine and temperatures comfortably in the mid-80s with the humidity not too high, and then we'll watch that tropical system in the middle of next week. Now, you're totally up to date on the weather.
And new at 11, a visual tribute to a life cut short. Today, artists painted this mural of Chris Beatty. It's on Vermont Street in downtown Indianapolis, where Beatty was killed. He was a well-known Indianapolis business owner, former IU football player, and Cathedral High School alumnus. Now, tonight, we're learning more about his life and legacy from close friends.
A man who was a pillar in the community and meant nothing but good. For him to go out like that, it just hurts. You know what I mean? It hurts.
Beatty was 38 years old. He was shot and killed Saturday night near Vermont and Talbot. Police have not released any information about what may have led up to the violence, and there are no reports of arrests at this hour. Friends describe Beatty as a man who loved people and was full of positivity.
Chris, he didn't know a stranger, regardless of, your race, your religion, your political views. No matter where your walk of life has taken you, he loved you for who you were. He accepted you for who you were.
All he wanted to do was just see people succeed around him and just keep positive people around him. He was just one of those guys, self-driven, self-motivated.
If you have information about this case, you can report it anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. And police have made an arrest in connection to another deadly downtown shooting on Saturday. 29-year-old Tyler Newby is preliminary charged in the murder of 18-year-old Dorian Morrell. He was shot at Market in Pennsylvania. We are working to learn the motive in this case as well.
Last week, WRTV talked to IMPD about a recent spike in homicides. The assistant chief told us the department investigated 68 criminal homicides between January 1st and May 26th. There were 43 criminal homicides in that same time frame last year. Officials say an increase in deadly violence started in November and December of last year, and it carried into January and February. Things leveled off in March and April before sharply rising in May. You can find an in-depth report on this complex issue at our website, WRTV.com.
And as people try to rebound from the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal bill that protects renters from eviction will expire soon. Bianca Facchini with our partners at Newsy examines what could happen to millions of unemployed Americans if the measure is not renewed.
The first coronavirus stimulus package includes a measure that temporarily protects renters from eviction. But time is running out with the moratorium up at the end of next month. So what happens if it's not renewed as millions of Americans remain unemployed?
I like to describe the moratoria as a Band-Aid on what is otherwise a gushing wound.
The measure covers tenants and federally backed housing, about 12 million households, or more than 1 in 4 renters, according to the Urban Institute. But it only protects them for not being able to pay rent. It doesn't block landlords from evicting for other reasons. And it's unclear if lawmakers intend to extend the provision.
We're concerned that, without further government intervention, we could see an increase in the number of evictions, an increase in homelessness potentially, with devastating effects to families and communities around the country, in addition to the spread of the coronavirus itself.
Even before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, one eviction was filed every 7 minutes, totaling to 300,000 per month. To curb the pandemic, Americans have been under lockdown since mid-March. Though some states have started reopening, the national economy is still suffering. And recent protests over the killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis could jeopardize many cities in recovery from the pandemic due to both vandalism and the threat of another outbreak.
People need a home. People need a place to feel secure and safe, and a way to feed their families and contribute to the community. And if they aren't able to have that, and if we aren't able to support people having a home and staying in place, I suspect that, social unrest will continue.
Renters tend to be lower income earners who work hourly jobs, making them more susceptible to coronavirus-induced layoffs. And meaning a moratorium extension could be the only thing keeping them off the streets this summer. Bianca Facchini, Newsy, Washington.
Indiana's statewide moratorium on evictions goes through June 30th. If you are worried about paying rent or your mortgage after the financial impact of the pandemic, consider going to hellolender.org or hellolandlord.org. The sites were created to help you generate formal letters for your landlord to let them know you're running into trouble. And you can find additional resources to help make ends meet right now at theindychannel.com/rebound.
This week's forecast calls for ice cream or maybe frozen custard. Next, we take you to a Fisher's business that continues to thrive as the city blossoms around it.
I'm Dave First with another RTV6 Senior Salute, continuing our goal of honoring the spring sport athletes. A trip to Bloomington High School North. Meet Hadley Abrams, school records in the 100-meter dash, along with several relays, including the 4x100, 4x400, and 4x200. Off the track, a member of the National Honor Society dance team and named Miss Indiana's Outstanding Teen a year ago. From North, she's heading south to study engineering at the University of Alabama. Good luck, Hadley. I'm Dave First with another RTV6 Senior Salute.
Just search RTV6. This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
If you're in the mood for a cool, sweet treat, forget ice cream and give frozen custard a try. Our Brad Brown takes us to a family-owned stand in Fishers that has been serving up scoops along State Road 37 long before the business boom there.
When the old custard stand opened more than 20 years ago, it was pretty much all alone on this stretch of State Road 37.
It's been very busy, more than normal when we open. Normally when we open, we're not that crazy busy. But everybody was just happy to get out. Everybody was happy to eat something different.
But as Fishers has grown up around it, the stand has been right here, serving up frozen treats to a new generation.
We've been eating frozen custard since we were kids, and that's why we built the frozen custard stand, is because we just wanted something different. Plus, all of our food is all homemade. Everything's right here. We make it all.
It's a family affair for Tiffany Leopard. Along with homemade frozen custard, her mom is back in the kitchen whipping up coney dogs, ham salad sandwiches, and more.
People come for the chicken salad and the ham salad. The ham salad is an old recipe. It's just something that we've always had.
But the custard is the star, as it has been from the start. More than 50 gallons made fresh daily, served up in sundaes, shakes, malts, and more.
Flavored Cokes. We have a lot of flavored Coke fans, so yeah, we have a lot of people that come by.
There are daily special flavors.
We normally have chocolate, vanilla, and butter pecan. Sunday is mint chocolate chip. Saturday is a strawberry. And lemon has become a phenomenon. We have it every Friday now. I don't like it, but everybody else does.
Then just about any topping combo you can think of, and a few that might surprise you.
When we first started, the girls themselves that we started with started making different things, and that's how we come up with a lot of the specialty Sundays.
Familiar faces, lots of smiles, and a taste of summer topped off with a little hot fudge.
It's just something you don't have at home. You know, everybody's been stuck at home, so they want to get out. And we have lots of seating outside, so we've had, even during the rain, we've had people out here sitting outside, just being outside and being somewhere other than home.
Working for you in Fishers, Brad Brown, RTV6.
The old custard stand has a calendar that lists the special flavor for each day of the month, so you can plan ahead. Find that on their Facebook page. We'll be right back.
Working for you.
As we take a live look at downtown Indianapolis, a reminder that Marion County is under curfew until 6 a.m. There have been no reports of widespread damage or unrest in the last 2 days, but you are asked to stay home and avoid going out unless there is an emergency. Kevin, over to you.
And dry overnight and through much of tomorrow. Temperatures will take off. They'll be back in the upper 80s for highs, and thunderstorm chances will increase as we get to the evening hours tomorrow. A few of those could be on the strong side, Amanda.
Another hot day ahead, Kevin. Thank you so much for making RTV6 your choice for news. Good Morning Indiana starts at 4:30. Stay safe and good night.